Hello everyone. In this recording, we will discuss using MATLAB to perform basic arithmetic, and we will also discuss the priorities in conducting these arithmetic calculations. So let's get started. So MATLAB can be used as a calculator. Um, it can be used as a calculator, and it can calculate basic arithmetic operations such as exponentiation. So that's the first arithmetic operation we can discuss. For example, I can take a number a and raise it to power p, and that will give me the answer. So let's actually test this here in the command window of MATLAB. I can take 3 raised to power 3, and that would give me 27, or maybe 3 raised to power 2, and that gives me 9. The second arithmetic operation is multiplication. And that's straightforward. I can take two numbers and multiply them. So A star B. So that would look like this on the MATLAB screen. Let's say I want to multiply 4 times 7. That gives me the answer 28. Third operation is division. And the way we write this in MATLAB is A divided by B. And for example, let's take 100 divided by 5, and that gives us 20 as an answer. And obviously, there is addition and subtraction. So these will look like this. So A plus B and A minus B. So let's do something simple here. 7 minus 5, 7 plus 5. And that's basically how we do addition and subtraction in MATLAB. There is a special notation that we would like to highlight, and that special notation is the E notation that's used to show a number written in scientific notation. So, for example, suppose I want to represent a number like 6 times 10 raised to power 23, which is Avogadro's number. So let's actually try to do this on the MATLAB command window. And while we do this, let's learn the following command, CLC, that will clear the screen, but it doesn't clear the memory. In fact, as you see here, the variable answer is still in the memory of the computer, but the screen is cleared for us. So let's actually learn how do we write 6 times 10 raised to power 23. I can, of course, write it in this way. 6 times 10 raised to power 23. So that's actually correct. There is nothing wrong in that. But as you see, the way that MATLAB wrote it in the answer variable is the one that we recommend to use. And that's basically 6e23. And that gives us 6 times 10 raised to power 23. Let's write another number, maybe 3.5 times 10 raised to power negative 7. And again, using the E notation, this would look like 3.5 E raised to power negative 7. So that's an easy way to write numbers in the scientific notation. Now we discuss another very important point, which is hierarchy or priorities. So or the order of precedence. So the precedence of arithmetic operations. So let's see the order of precedence. So there are 5 rules for the priorities, and these are actually similar more or less to the rules used in mathematics. So top priority is for parentheses. So parentheses go priority number 1, and they are usually evaluated from innermost to outermost. From innermost to outermost. So let's actually try to write a simple example here. Again, I'll do CLC. So something like this. So I can, for example, add 4 to 3 in parentheses, and then the result will be minus another bracket, let's say 7 minus 10, and then the whole thing, I can have an outer set of parentheses, and then the whole thing is added to 1. So the way this actually runs is that the 4 plus 3 will be evaluated first, and that gives me 7. The 7 minus 10 will be evaluated next, and that gives me negative 3. And then there is a subtraction here that's going to happen, and this subtraction will be calculated, and that will give me 10. And then finally, I will add 1 to the final result, so it's going to be 10 plus 1, and that will eventually give me 11. So as you see, we started with the innermost brackets, and then we go to the outermost ones. So the second rule for arithmetic operations is exponentiation. Exponentiation has the second priority. And the way exponentiation works is that it actually goes from left to right. So to highlight this, let's actually give the answer here. To highlight this, I can, for example, discuss something like 2 raised to power 2 raised maybe to power 3. And let's actually analyze this before we ask MATLAB to calculate the results. So I have 2 raised to power 2 raised to power 3. So one can think of two answers for this kind of calculations. One can say that, well, this is probably 2 raised to power 8. Or someone can say, no, that's actually 4 raised to power 3. And obviously, this is a number different than this. So let's actually what MATLAB calculates, because let's first try to guess what MATLAB will calculate based on what we understood here. It's from left to right. So what should happen is that we should start from left to right. So I should start calculate 2 raised to power 2 first, and that will give me 4, and then finally raised to power 3, and that will give me the final answer, so 4 raised to power 3. While the previous, so that should be the correct answer using MATLAB. While 2 raised to power 8, it actually works from right to left. So first I raise 2 raised to power 3, and that gives me 8. And then this will be the exponent of the 2 on the far left here. And I would say that there are some programming languages that use this convention. But let's ask MATLAB what would be the answer here. The answer will be 64, which is 4 raised to power 3. I have to say something, and maybe we can learn something on the fly here. If I use the upward arrow in the keyboard, that will give me actually the previous set of calculations, and I can choose one of them. For example, let me choose this. I would rather actually try to be less ambiguous here by using parentheses. So if I put parentheses on the 2 raised to power 2 first, it will be very clear that's going to be 4 raised to power 3. On the other hand, if I change my mind and I want to calculate 2 raised to power 3 first, which is 8, and then the whole thing will be the power of 2, then I put the parentheses to make this very explicit. So the answer is 256. The third rule, when it comes to the order of precedence or hierarchy, rule number 3 is negative sign. So negative sign has third priority. And to contrast this with the priorities that we discussed, so we discussed number 1 first is the parentheses, and then the exponentiation, and then the negative sign. So to make this clear, let's try to calculate minus 5 raised to power 2. And again, let's try to think of possible 2 answers for this kind of calculation. I can say the answer will be minus 5 raised to power 2. So this is like minus 5 times minus 5. So the answer should be 25. And someone might say, no, the answer is 5 raised to power 2 first, and that's 25, and then I put the negative sign, and that will give me minus 25. And in fact, this is the correct convention as used in MATLAB. So the way MATLAB works is that it gives exponentiation higher priority than the negative sign. And as such, 5 raised to power 2 will be calculated first to give me 25. And then finally, I will have the negative sign. So let's actually test this here. Again, I will do a CLC. So negative 5 raised to power 2. So it is minus 25. Again, it is actually recommended to use parentheses to be very explicit. So for example, I can put something like this where I calculate 5 raised to power 2 first. That would give me minus 25. Or alternatively, if I want the minus 5 to be raised all together as a set, or as a whole, together, the negative 5 together raised to power 2 and to give me plus 25, then I should put the parentheses around the minus 5. So negative sign has lower priority than the exponentiation. Next on the list is number 4 here, is multiplication and division. In fact, both of them have the same ranking with equal precedence, and that's usually is evaluated from left to right. Again, to give an idea about this kind of calculation, so let's say, for example, someone wrote 3 divided by 7 times 2. So you can think again of 2 answers for this kind of arithmetic calculation. So let's see. Someone might think that this is actually 3 divided by 7, and after I finish the calculation, I will take the answer and multiply it by 2, and that should give you 6 over 7. And someone might think, oh, maybe this is actually 3 over 7 times 2, where the 2 actually appears in the denominator. And then the answer will be a smaller number, which is 3 over 14. In fact, the correct answer is this, according to the MATLAB convention, which is pretty common, I would say, in programming languages. We go from left to right, and division and multiplication have the same order of precedence. So then, if I go from left to right, I will first calculate 3 divided by 7, and that will give me 3 over 7, and then multiply the whole thing by 2. To test this, we can do this, 3 over 7 times 2, and the answer is 0.8571, which I can confirm this is actually 6 over 7. So again, it is preferred here that one becomes less ambiguous by putting parentheses as usual, as we have discussed so far. So if you want really to do 3 over 7 first, it's better to put the parentheses here. So here, or alternatively, if you want to do the 7 times 2 first, you would use parentheses in this location. The final operation which has the least order of priority is the addition and subtraction. And again, both of them have equal priority, and they go from left to right. They go from left to right. Let's give something very simple to illustrate the idea. So suppose someone tried to calculate, 7 over 7 plus 5. Again, one can think of 2 ways MATLAB can handle this. It could be 7 divided by 7 first, which gives you 1, and then the whole thing is plus 5 to gives you a final answer of 6. Or one can think of this as 7 over 7 plus 5, which is 7 divided by 12, so it's a number less than 1. And if you think about what we discussed, the correct actually way MATLAB will handle this is actually the first case, where it goes from left to right with higher priority to the division. So obviously 7 divided by 7 will be calculated first, and then you add 5 to it. So let's actually test this here. 7 divided by 7 plus 5, and that gives you 6. Again, if you want to break this order of priority, you can always use parentheses to calculate 7 plus 5 first, and that gives you 0.5833. So let's recap here what we discussed so far. We discussed that you can use MATLAB to do arithmetic, to do basic arithmetic. You can exponentiate, you can multiply, divide, subtract, add. And we discussed the hierarchy of these operations, these arithmetic operations. So basically, we said that the order of precedence start with parentheses first, and usually you start from the innermost to the outermost, and then exponentiation next, and this goes from left to right, and then negative sign, and then the division and multiplication, they go from left to right, and both of them have equal priority, and the addition and subtraction, and they go from left to right, and again addition and subtraction have equal priority. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in another segment.